Hey you guys, it's your girl Kelsey, aka the Shy Wanderlust. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. As you guys can see, I am back with another video, and this time it's kind of more of a sit down and kind of talk type of video. Most of my videos are about adventures, getting out and all that stuff. So as you can see by the title, I am going to be talking about the pros and cons of living in Las Vegas, or the Las Vegas Valley. And I want to start off by saying, before I get started, I do have a quick little disclaimer. Now, mind you, if you haven't been following my videos and you don't know me or anything like that, I moved to the Las Vegas Valley area about 4 months ago. When it's about time this video comes out, it'll be about a little over 4 months ago. And I can only speak for myself and my experience. I cannot speak for people that have been born and raised here. I cannot speak for people that have been living here for several years. I can't speak for people who moved here yesterday. Again, I can only speak for myself. So these are just the pros and cons based on my experience. I just wanted to put that disclaimer out really quick. So now that that's out of the way, let's get started. All right, the first thing that I actually want to talk about are the cons. And I do want to let you guys know that I actually do kind of have some pros and cons that kind of cross paths a little bit. But I do want to start off with the cons. And I think the biggest con to me living here so far is the construction. And it is a lot of construction. And I'm pretty sure you may live in a city where you think you see a lot of construction, or you may see a lot of construction, but to me here, there's like an overabundance of construction on the streets, on the highway. It's literally everywhere. And mind you, if you don't watch my channel, I've lived in a city prior to living here. I lived in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and it is a lot of traffic out there, and the majority of the traffic is not normally caused by construction. But here, if there's any traffic, it is caused by mostly the construction. And when I say it's a lot of construction, it's a lot. It is literally a lot of construction, like everywhere you go. Like I said, you could be in the street, on the highway, in the neighborhoods, it don't matter. Construction. Sometimes when I'm riding around, I'm just trying to figure out, like, what exactly could they be working on? Because you see the construction cones, and it's just like, it looks like they haven't touched the area that is protected by these cones, and it seems like months or probably years. So it's everywhere. I swear it's everywhere. If you have a trade in construction, I bet you'll always have a job here, because it's literally everywhere. All right, my next con for living here in the Las Vegas area, and again, this is just really pertaining to how I feel, but there's no metro train here. And when I say metro train, you may not have one in your city, but I've come from two cities that had a type of metro train that not only, of course, they have like the train and tram system that take you up and down the Vegas Strip, but I'm talking about outside of that. There's no metro train. When you think of course, like a subway system in New York or something like that. That's what I mean when I say a metro, because in Atlanta, there was actually a metro train. In St. Louis, they have a metro train called the Metrolink, and it takes you different places within the city, not just a particular touristy area like the Strip here. They don't have that here. And when I normally use that, when I was in Atlanta, it was to, get to and fro my area that I lived in to downtown, because you have, they always charge for parking downtown, so it's always easier to take the train. And also when you want to go to the airport, they don't have that here, so it makes it a little bit difficult. This is a city that you probably most likely will need to have a car to be able to get around the way that you want to get around. I would say there are, of course, buses. There's an abundance of buses, and of course Uber and Lyft and all that stuff. But your biggest bet is having a car. Again, I kind of miss having the access to a train system. I really kind of miss that living here. Again, I normally use it to get downtown and stuff like that. It saved me money to get downtown to get to the airport. I don't have that here, so that is actually on my con list. Okay, the next thing on my con list is the water. The water here. Their water is extremely hard. There are a lot of harsh, I'd say, minerals or materials in the water here in the Las Vegas Valley. I never really researched on, you know, how their water system works or anything like that, but I did notice that the water is really hard here when you know, when you wash your hands, when you take a shower, anything that you do with water, it really dries you out. Even washing your dishes, it leaves like a lot of hard water. You got to make sure you really dry your dishes after you wash them. It leaves a lot of hard water marks and stuff on your water. I really noticed that like the first week I moved here. Gotta stay moisturized and hydrated using this water here. I don't normally drink the tap water. I don't drink the tap water at all. I'm not even gonna say normally. I don't drink the tap water at all here in the Vegas Valley. That was another thing. I actually, when I lived in Georgia, I didn't drink the tap water, but I did notice the water wasn't as hard there. In St. Louis, I did. You know, that's my favorite tap water, Midwest tap water. Well, some cities in Midwest, because I know some cities in the Midwest or water's like, but anyway, I still drink the tap water whenever I visit St. Louis. The water is just different up there from the Mississippi. I don't know what it is, but the water is different there. But here, the water is so hard. Again, you got to make sure you stay moisturized, and I always keep, you know, bottled water with me because the water here is just is so powerful. All right, the next two things that I'm going to talk about actually are the ones that I said they kind of cross over the line when it comes to being a pro and a con. They could be both. So I'm going to talk about the cons of the two aspects first, and then I'll talk about the pro about them. So the first one is the weather. The weather here. Of course, if you've ever been to, you know, Las Vegas, especially in the middle of summer, it is really, 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 really hot. And I moved here kind of at the end of the hotness, if you will, but it was still hot. It was still piping hot when I got here. I moved here at the very end of August, so it was still hot well into September, but it gets really hot. You know, gets over 100, well over 100 degrees here. And it feels like it's one of those heats that, even though it's a dry heat, it just is, when you're out, it feels like the sun is like sitting on your forehead. But that's also on my pro list, but like I said, I'm gonna get into that. So the majority of, you know, the summer, late summer, even into the fall, it's really hot, really, really hot here. But at the same time, when it crosses over to late fall, you know, winter, winter is just getting started. When I recorded this video, winter is just getting started, but it still gets up to 60 something degrees during the day, which I like. So that kind of plays into the pro part of it. But speaking of the heat, I actually don't necessarily mind it because, again, I talk about this a lot in this video, but again, I come from cities and I've lived in cities where you have heat and humidity. But I'm going to talk about that in, you know, a little separately. But at the same time, I really prefer dry heat over the heat from where I've lived prior to living here. But at the same time, hot is hot. So that's why it's a con. It really is a con. It does get, you know, chilly here. Like right now it is, I would say today the high is like 65, but the low is about 40 something, which isn't too bad. It may be, you know, a lot on the colder side when it comes to people that lived here for years and were born and raised here, and this is really all they know when it comes to the weather. But to me, 40 something is really not that bad. It's really not that bad. Again, I've come from places that it can get below zero. It's really cold. To me, 40 something is not cold. It's comfortable. In the 40s and 50s, to me, is comfortable. Anything below that, of course, is you know, I'm staying my butt inside. But I'm getting off topic here. But when it comes to, like I said, that's one of the pros when it comes to the weather here for me. The fact that the heat, it may be a dry heat, but it doesn't have that much humidity. It has like little to no humidity. I think this is probably the first or second driest state in this country when it comes to humidity. But let's bring it over to humidity. The low humidity is on my con list as well because it is really, really, really dry. Like really, really dry. I appreciate the fact that it can get hot here without the humidity, because the humidity makes it feels like it's 10 times worse to me. Coming from someone that has lived in both, has experienced both, heat with no humidity and heat with extreme humidity. I really prefer the heat with no humidity, but at the same time, because there's little to no humidity here, it is very drying. Very, very drying. Like, you always have to make sure you have some type of liquid with you wherever you go. It's extremely drying. It's drying on your skin. It could be drying to the point where you can immediately tell when you are dehydrated, and it happens quickly if you're not drinking enough liquid. I love water. I'm a water girl, so I stay drinking water all day. But I notice if I go without it for too long, I can really feel it. Like I get really dehydrated, and it gets to the point where like my tears are dry, especially when I'm outside. Like indoors, I notice here a lot of places they have like built-in humidifiers and filters and all that stuff in the system and all that stuff. But when you get outside, then you rolling around without anything to drink, you might be in trouble, because it's like dehydration, it sets in so quickly here. It is so dry, it's dry and it's dusty. But that's another thing. That's actually another con. A little small con is it's extremely dusty here. I didn't want to get too much into that because of course this is a desert. Of course you're gonna have dust. You don't have much grass. There are trees, but there's not much grass, so you're gonna have mostly rocks and dust. And when you get rocks and dust, you get to tracking stuff in, and you just have to clean about a bit more than you normally would in another city. But that's neither here nor there. But the humidity, the low humidity, again, like I said, that's why it is on my con and my pro list. I hate the fact that you get dehydrated so quickly, but also love it that it's not too much humidity where it's making everything extremely uncomfortable. I don't like being outside when it's extremely hot and extremely humid. It feels like I get so just, I'm so dehydrated and I'm flustered, and I literally feel sick because I have sickle cell, so it doesn't take much to drain me. And when it comes to heat plus humidity, I'm kind of glad I got away from it. That's the reason why I moved here, because that humidity is just something else to me. It is something else to me. All right, so now that I've talked about the cons, the mixture of pros and cons, now I'm going to switch over to the pros. Now, the biggest thing I did notice here that I really, really love, which, I mean, it's already quite obvious because it is a tourist city, but there are a lot of things to do. And of course, if you think about the Strip and the casinos and the shows and the concerts, it's more than that here. It's more than that. Each area, I notice as I move around to each area in the Vegas Valley area, there's just lots to do. There's lots of museums, there's lots of shows outside of the Strip. This is just outside of the Strip. I'm not even talking about the Strip, because every area has their own casino that has shows and concerts and all that stuff. You don't even necessarily have to go on the Strip if you don't want to, but there are lots of things to do. There's always something on an event list that's going on. Like, I've literally had something to do every weekend and sometimes during the week while living here so far. If you watch my videos, you have to kind of go back and play back some of my videos. I'm not going to list everything that I've done, but there's so much stuff to do here. I'm going to link the videos somewhere up in here. Some of my playlist of some of the things that there are to do here in Vegas. Again, it's not just the Strip. There's so many things to do. There's art district. Again, there's so many museums. There's bars. There's clubs. There's things to do. It's just a lot. It's a lot. I literally have a whole list in my notes on my phone of things that I want to do, and it feels like I'm barely scratching the surface. I kind of check the stuff off as I go, but it feels like I barely scratched the surface. But I just love the fact that there's a lot to do. I do come from I've been living in the city where there were lots of stuff to do, but it seems like once you did it all, that was it. It's like, oh, okay, now I'm bored. But here, it seems like they're steady adding stuff. You know, there's always stuff that are being added and taken away from the strip in Las Vegas anyway, but that happens everywhere. It seems like there's stuff popping up everywhere. You got markets, all kind of stuff. There's so much stuff to do here, and I really love that about living here. All right, the next thing on my pros list is there is abundance of food here. There's so many different restaurants to try and festivals to go to where there's going to be food and games. And anyway, we're talking about food right now, but there's so much food to try here. Like, I don't think I've ever lived in a city where there are just so many different things to try. You have every type of culture type food that you can think of here. Can't list them all, but I'm still, again, I have a list of restaurants and stuff that I want to try, from vegetarian to vegan to, you know, just regular food, all type of stuff. There's so many different restaurants, and again, themed restaurants, high-end restaurants, mom and pop restaurants. It's just everywhere you turn, and it seems like as I move out and about every day, it seems like I see more and more things like, what is that? Like, I'm gonna have to try this place. I'm gonna have to try it, because it seems like everywhere I go, there's some place that I find like, oh, let me add this to my list. Another restaurant I want to try. There's so much, there's an abundance of food here to try, and it's like, it's so cultured here when it comes to food. You never get bored of food, and I'm a foodie. I'm not bored yet. You know, I have so many things that I want to try, but there's a lot of food here. That's a huge plus and a huge pro for me, the food. All right, you guys, the last thing on my list, on my pros list, is and it's my favorite actually, there's a local discounts. The local discounts. That's one of my favorites on the pros list, on this list period, because again, because this is a tourist city, and being that there's so much to do, so many museums, all type of stuff to go to, and shows and stuff, because there's an abundance of that, and of course they cater to the tourist. Also, they try to cater to the locals, and they give us discounts, and I've had my fair share of discounts, and I could absolutely appreciate, and they're pretty nice discounts as well. I mean, coming from someone that's been visiting Las Vegas for years, several times a year before I moved here, I know that it could get pricey when you want to go to the shows and you know, even restaurants and all that stuff, and concerts. You want to be able to enjoy that stuff because of course you're on vacation, but at the same time, when you're not on vacation and you live here, you want to be able to enjoy that stuff too, and be able to get out and do things. And of course, there's a huge difference between you know, these casinos and all that stuff trying to cater to profit, and they're trying to, of course, bring in that money. So of course they're going to charge certain prices and stuff for people that are coming in town, but at the same time they want to be fair, and that's my opinion. They want to be fair to the people that live here, because they know we want to be able to have things to do too, so they give us discounts, and I absolutely love that. I've never lived in a city where there has been, you know, a local discount, even though I've lived in cities that are not so touristy. I've lived in cities that are pretty touristy, not as touristy as they are here, but they, you know, they bring in a lot of people every year, and I've never noticed any discounts. I've never had a discount because I live in the city until I lived here. So I absolutely love and adore that. I love the local discounts, and every time I go somewhere, I try to make sure, let me see if they got a discount, because I'll make sure I'm gonna use that. Actually, it was a museum I went to the other day. They had a local discount, so I had like discount on top of discount from that, because I use Groupon. Utilize that, you guys. Make sure, because I'm a budget girl. If I can find a way to save some money, I'm gonna do it. And I really love the fact that there are local discounts here. All right, you guys, that is all that I have on my list today. It may seem like a pretty short list, but again, I have only been here for a little over 4 months now. So I may come back and do another video as I continue to live here and continue to experience things. The things that I've listed are things that I've noticed so far just living here. So like I said, I may come back if there's other things that I want to add. I may create another list. There are a lot of things that I really can't contribute to. If you expected to come here and see me talk about the school system, about housing, I don't have a house yet here, so I'm not I can't talk about that. I can't speak on that. I don't want to speak on anything that I can't have an opinion on because I don't experience it. Again, with the schooling, I've heard about the schooling here, but I, again, can't have an opinion on that. Can't really, I mean, of course I can research it and have an opinion on it, but again, unless I experience it, I don't want to talk about it. I don't have children, so I don't feel like I have the right to speak on it. If you get what I'm saying, and that's just my opinion. So I can't really talk about schooling and stuff like here. Again, I'm still brand spanking new. I can't talk about the politics, and I don't like politics anyway. Sorry, but anyway, that's not my cup of tea. But like I said, I am ending the video here. So if there's anything that, if you're a Vegas local and there's anything that you want to comment and want to add, please do so in the comment box below. Give your opinion. Let me know how you feel living here. How long have you lived here? What are your thoughts? So far, I really like it. I enjoyed it. There are several reasons why I moved here. I talked about that in another video a little bit, but again, kind of getting off topic here. So like I said, I'm just going to end the video here, but I do want to thank you guys so very much for watching my video. I hope that you like, comment, subscribe, and share. And when you subscribe, please hit the notification bell so when I post some videos, you guys will be notified. I hope God blesses all of y'all. I love y'all. Deuces.